Welcome back to another episode of the Tundra Cast. This is episode number 45. Today we're going to be talking about the Department of Player Safety. Today I've got Shay with me.
What's up?
And I've got Rossi with me as well.
What up?
So I think a good place to start would be the most recent news involving the Department of Player Safety is Jason Spezza's 6-game suspension has been reduced to 4. I believe the NHL announced that, I think it was this morning or sometime this afternoon.
It was like
your
6
thoughts
hours.
on that? 6 hours? Yeah.
You know what? My honest opinion of it is I think it's bullshit, to be honest, because it shouldn't have been lowered from 6 to 4. I don't care
I agree.
I don't care that he's never been suspended before or anything. All I care about is that he had the intent to, I'm going to say it, he had the intent to injure because he was trying to get revenge. It was an intent to injure and it was a revenge play.
He did. It was a dumb play.
Yeah.
But that play doesn't happen if the rest did their jobs.
Okay, but at the same time,
I'm not protecting Spezza.
Okay,
like, that's a 10-game suspension, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if the rest did their jobs on Pionk Sandin, that play doesn't happen. That Spezza play does not happen.
I agree. But at the same time, Spezza wanted revenge, he wanted to injure, and he did it. He kneed the guy right in the head so blatantly. And you know what? A 6-game suspension is actually low. With how much we know about how much head injuries can harm a person to their late life and even in the beginning, all of their life. That's just something that you can't let fly, and I think it's quite ridiculous that people are trying to defend Spezza and trying to pretend like nothing bad happened.
I think it was a dumb play. I think when games get turned more like that, things are going to happen. Refs are going to suck. They're not going to control tempo, whatever. But he crossed a line, and there comes a time where that line gets crossed, and unfortunately it happened to be Spezza, and it was a dumb play.
I mean, we've already said our thoughts about the Department of Player Safety back in May. If you remember that podcast on Tom Wilson, which we know what Wilson did.
It's
but
gotten so much worse. So that's why we're making this video, because
pretty ironic, eh?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I was never like, oh, we gotta. Well, I was, but I was only like, oh, we gotta make another video when it got so much worse. I didn't think they could get so much worse after the Tom Wilson thing. I was like, well, man, George Paris has gotta wise up. But no, it's just terrible. They're called the Department of Player Safety, but it seems they don't give a shit about safety.
It's just so inconsistent. We don't really know what's right and what's wrong anymore because there's just so much happening with the Department of Player Safety. It's like I always see the little meme of the wheel. They're like, here's spin the wheel and whatever. That's probably what's going on right now with them, just because of the inconsistencies.
It's funny how they suspend or they fine the New York Rangers for commenting on an NHL official more than a slew foot. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, what's up with the PK slew foots this year? That's been crazy.
I mean, he slew foots people twice a game. That goes.
I know. I feel like every time I'm on social media, I always see a new PK Subban slew foot. I'm like, what are you doing?
That's something I was about to talk about. Is he's been consistently slew footing. Each time he slew foots, it gets more dangerous and more dangerous, and he's gonna really hurt someone. He could end a career.
Oh yeah.
And the NHL won't punish him. And I don't know why they aren't, but they just aren't. And I don't know why they won't punish him, but they won't. Some players are getting suspended for almost nothing, but apparently Subban can slew foot all he wants, nothing happens. It's
You know what else makes no sense? When they suspend people for missing the All-Star game. Like, come on, really?
Yeah,
an All-Star game, I don't understand that, because an All-Star game literally means nothing. Why? It's so dumb.
I mean, if people want to break, Ovechkin, I think, where did he skip the All-Star game a couple years ago to focus on the playoffs?
I think
if Ovi, was it Ovi that missed it? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Ovi, yeah.
I think that year Washington went on to win the cup, so I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. Like you said, Shay, with the fact you got to suspend or fine people that miss an All-Star game or whatever.
Like, if it's that big of a deal?
It's not at all. I think what else is happening with Department of Player Safety is we've kind of seen in recent years, especially since George Paris has come in, is that they're really trying to crack down on head hits and illegal checks to the head, things like that. But because they're focusing so much on those, because they're focusing so much on those, they're missing on a bunch of the other stuff that's happening, such as the slew foots and all that. I think that they're kind of starting to get away from that side and try to focus more on head checks. Not saying they're always right. They're still inconsistent, but they're starting to focus less on other things.
It's just funny how most of the headshots getting called are against the star players now.
Yeah.
And when it's like Tom Moser or Marchand doing it against the likes of Matthews or McKinnon, they're not getting punished. So
right.
I just still don't think George Paris is suited for his job because
I don't think so either.
He's protecting his own goons, and all the star players are getting punished for it when they're taking the same amount of abuse every game. It makes no sense.
Just because you're not that type of player doesn't mean you should, be suspended every time you throw a hit like that.
Yeah.
Nick, I would agree that they might be just focusing on headshots a bit too much, but for them to lower Spezza's suspension and for them not to suspend Trouba for even a game after he laid those two brazen dirty hits on Korea and
Kara.
Jesus. Kara. Jeez, where did Korea come from? I'm thinking about.
I don't know.
There was some weird news about North Korea today that I won't get into.
Yeah, that's where I got it from. But anyways, fucking Jujar Korea. I'm gonna call him.
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna call him that now.
Just stay on topic, guys.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Here's the thing. Like, I know the 2 years you're talking about, McKinnon and Kara. Trouba also laid another one on the very next game. I forgot who it was. Yeah, Lukunin.
Yeah, it was on Kunnin, and it wasn't as dirty. It was actually a clean hit, but still.
Like, Trouba's getting away with a dirty hit every game, and he's getting no punishment for it.
Yeah, and, as I'm going to say, if you defend a player for being dirty, fuck you.
Ira.
If you defend a player for being dirty, fuck you. It's stupid. The Department of Player Safety is becoming as big a joke as the NHL itself. It's gonna turn back into a game where players are just gonna have to do revenge hits, and it's gonna get dangerous, and people are gonna get hurt again.
I mean, that happened during the Rangers Caps game. Remember the 6 fights in the opening period?
Yeah. It was over like 100 and something penalty minutes just after the first.
It was crazy. It cooled down after that, but I'm just saying, like, you don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
Like, the incident I always flank this to is Steve Moore.
Yeah.
Like, Steve Moore obviously laid a terrible hit on Marcus Naslund. He should have been suspended. He wasn't. Then Todd Bertuzzi ends his career. Like, we don't want that again.
No, we don't. And you know what? There are other things I can think of where people should have been suspended but didn't. Instance, Tucker Pullman uses his hockey stick as basically like a blade to swap Newhook right across the face. Nothing happens to him. Gabriel Landeskog takes off, throws off his gloves and punches and keeps hitting Ekholm, who doesn't even have his gloves off. He jumps him, basically. He jumps him.
Crosby slashes off Mark Maffat's finger. He whacks O'Reilly in the nutsack.
Smashes PK Subban's head into the ice.
No suspension. Lonka sprays water. $5,000 fine.
Yeah, the Department of Player Safety has always been a joke, and it's somehow getting worse. Because you know what? I don't care what any Avs fan or Predators fan or anything says. I don't care what Ekholm did. Yeah, him ripping off a helmet of someone else and throwing it, that's not cool. But you know what you shouldn't do? Is you shouldn't start punching someone in the face after you jump them while 2 other players are on them. That's a bitch move by Landeskog. And I love Landeskog, but that was a bitch move. Especially when Ekholm didn't even have his gloves off. And every Avalanche person wants to hail it as like, ooh, he's doing something so good. No. That is the epitome of a bitch move. And I like Landeskog. And that's something suspendable, to blindside someone and start doing that when they not only are they not fighting back, but they're being held to the boards by 2 of your other guys. That is literally a gang fight at that point.
Right.
and Newhook getting whapped across the face. That's not cool. Pullman should have been suspended for like 20 games.
The part of what I don't get is the repeat offenders.
I was just gonna say that.
Like Tom Wilson, I'm pretty sure in a couple games, Tom Wilson would not be considered a repeat offender.
I think it's like 100 games or something like that. Because Marchand had the same thing too, where like and Marchand's got that reputation of being, sometimes a dirty player, slewfoots, things like that.
But what I don't understand about that is the fact that they treat people who are getting suspended for the first time so much better, because it's like, oh, he's never been suspended before, so he's got to get a late switcher. No, dude. If he brazenly if he
killed someone.
No, if he uses his skate to slash someone across like the spine, you're not gonna be like, oh, well, he's never been suspended for.
You know what? 1K fine.
Yeah, 1K fine. He's never had trouble before. No.
And here's the thing: before George Pills came as head of Department of Player Safety, when it was, I believe, Shanahan, right?
So.
Yes.
Guys like Rafi Torres, were still considered repeat offenders. Rafi Torres got a 41-game suspension for a preseason hit.
Yeah.
And nowadays, 100 games is so low. The minimum bar should be 300. So you're saying if Tom Wilson goes basically a season without a dangerous hit, he's not a repeat offender? Come on.
I think the repeat offender thing is stupid. Every single punishment should be fit the crime.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Seriously, it's so dumb, because you know what? I don't care if they've had a million penalties before, or if they've never had a penalty before. Whatever they do, they should get punished accordingly. I don't care if, let's say, Nick has been suspended 300 times and he does something that should be worth 2 games. He shouldn't get suspended more than 2 games for that. And I don't care if Shea, who has never been suspended before, does something worth of a season-long suspension. Shut up. I don't care if he does something, if he's never been suspended before, and then he does something that's worth of a season-long suspension. He should get suspended for a season. And I don't care if you're a star player, a goon. If you do something that's befitting of a suspension, you deserve it.
Careful when you call goons. It might be offensive to some people.
I love goons. I won't say, any specific players who people might consider goons and who might, see that as offensive. But we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, if you know, you know.
You know, you know.
If you know, you know. But yeah,
it's stupid.
It's so dumb.
The reason why it's such a I feel like to change the criteria of Department of Player Safety and suspensions, things like that, is a little bit tougher, because it has to do with the collective bargaining agreement, I believe, especially with fines. I know there's the maximum 5K fine. It's the part of the CBA.
The fine thing is part of the CBA. I don't think suspensions are part of it.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but but there obviously needs to be a change. There needs to be more of a clarification of what you can do, what you can't do, certain levels of
the videos that the Department of Player Safety make. I don't know if you guys watch them.
Yeah,
I would watch parody videos of them all the time.
Oh yeah, those. Yeah.
Yeah, those funny parody videos where it's the one where Carey Price slashes a little kid across the leg and then the kid can't walk anymore. Those ones are hilarious, and I love watching those parody ones. But the videos that the Player Safety actually makes, it's this is why he was suspended. You can't do that. And then, what the hell did I just hear? Was someone watching?
I'm getting a clip because it's for my next point. I was trying to mute it.
Okay, I just started
keep going.
Oh no.
Keep going. Yeah.
But it's just so lazy the way they explain it, because they do a terrible job of explaining it, and
they're so monotone, right?
Yeah,
it's Nashville forward Phil Forsberg slashed him in the back. Okay.
Yeah, and not only that, but you'll be watching one of those player safety videos and then be watching a live game at the same time. The same exact thing will happen, and nothing bad will happen to that player.
Yeah, Like,
here's the
Department
of Player Safety have regional blackouts as well. They can only watch certain games.
Let's go back to that Winnipeg Toronto game, right? Here's the clip I was mentioning. So, this is at 15:45 the third, right? Matthews and Dubois are at the corner, right? Dubois grabs Matthews by his back, grabs his face, pushes him down. He's basically Tom Wilson him right now. Ref's right there, punches him in the back. Refs don't call anything, and like Matthews gets the 2-minute penalty for interference.
It's clearly Matthews.
It's clearly Matthews for getting ragdolled, right? Like,
yeah, soft.
So, like, sure, you have to put onus on the player, but most of these are, once again, on the reffing. It's 100% on the reffing of the game. And if the refs don't make those calls, guess what? The dirty hits, dirty plays won't happen. Which is why I keep protesting. The league should do some background checks on the refs. They should make sure that these guys can call the game fairly.
Yeah, it's actually just stupid because the fact that that they fine players based on who they are and not what they do is stupid. Because you know what, and this might upset you. This might upset you, Shay. If McDavid does something that's worth
I call him out. I literally said, like, during the LA Kings game, that's a suspendable hit. I literally said that. But here's the thing: it happens to McDavid every game.
Yeah.
I'm not making excuses.
Yeah, no, I know you're not, but like.
But it happens to McDavid. It happens to Matt McKinnon every fucking game, and yet no punishment's given out.
Yeah, if someone does something that's worthy of a suspension, I don't care who the player is. I don't care how important they are to the sport. I don't care if Ovechkin's one goal away from breaking Gretzky's record and he gets suspended for 3 seasons straight because he does something so awful. I don't care, because if you deserve it, you deserve it. I do not care who the player is, if they're about to break a record or anything. If you do something worthy of a certain amount of time on the suspension thing, you deserve it.
Yeah. I'll say this as well about the NHL, Department of Player Safety. You look at leagues like the CHL, for example, where they have the whole head checking thing, and they don't care who commits a serious offense. And with European leagues as well, I think I seen a clip today or yesterday of like a Czech player cross-checking his own teammate in practice and a bunch of stuff, and like the league won't tolerate that in Europe. The league wouldn't tolerate that in the CHL, no matter who you are. I think the NHL and like hockey is one of those sports where it's always going to be intense. There's always going to be rough stuff and whatever. But like the most watched hockey league in the world, it's just amazing how I don't know how to put it into words, how like questionable like some of the decisions are. It's amazing how there's not really like a direction anywhere from anything. Whereas, like I said, if you look at the CHL, you look at all the European leagues, they don't care. You do something, you're suspended for however long. Yeah. The NHL is just it's just mind-boggling sometimes, some of the decisions they make.
I know a lot of people make jokes about the NFL's suspension thing, where it's like a wheel of punishment.
And like the urinate, like there's that urinate tree video about that too.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like that's basically what the NHL is. But instead of a wheel of punishment, it is literally George Peros has about like 100 different suspensions, and they only go up to like 5 games. Right?
Yeah, IIHF as well is really
good.
And
half the wheel is just 5K fines.
Yeah. IIHF is really good for cracking down on that stuff.
And he just throws a dart with his eyes closed. He
throws a dart.
He throws a dart with his eyes closed, and whatever it lands on, that's what he suspends the player for.
Spins a globe.
Bringing back the dart analogy from the Buffalo podcast, I see.
Yeah, and you know what? He throws a dart, and then he's like, what player is it? And then he calls that player and is like, hey, are you fine with this type of punishment? And if they say no, and of course they're always gonna say no. If they say no, he's like, okay, well, I'll just lower that to like $1,000. You
Yeah.
know, or I might not even punish you because we're boys. Hockey's
you
a
make
boys' club
you
still.
make 5 million, so I'm pretty sure 5K won't hurt you that much.
Yeah, right.
And then you have somebody on the thing who's making like 20 million a year. Not that anybody does. He's like, I can't afford that. He's like, oh, don't worry, I just won't do anything to you. You know, we're buds. We're boys. Hockey's a boys' club still. And it's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that pretty much wraps it up, eh? We basically got all of our anger out.
Yeah, there's so much to say, but at this point, you know what? It's not even worth getting mad about. It's not even worth getting angry about, because it's clear that the NHL, Gary Bettman, George Peros, and whoever the fuck else doesn't care about player safety, and doesn't care. So why should we care about what they do if they don't care?
I'll finish off my point about the IIHF as well. Is that like people call them like World Juniors. We're probably going to see it this upcoming World Juniors. There's going to be some type of hit that maybe not a lot of people agree with. Maybe in the NHL wouldn't have that much of a severe punishment, but the IIHF and the heads of the IIHF and the safety, it's I lost my train of thought. The safety committee is sending a message to these teams like, hey, this is not going to be tolerated.
Especially since they're like 18, 19, 20 years old.
Exactly, and that's part of the thing with the CHL, right? They're trying to, they're kids at the end of the day. They're still, like, some of them are minors, right? But that's the case of the World Juniors as well. But I feel like, they're trying to obviously keep all those players safe because they're so young. But the NHL, it's no different. Like, it doesn't matter how young they are. You got to keep those players safe. Steve Moore, I think when he got injured, was in his like 30s. I think I can't remember, like late 20s.
I'll double check.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. He might have been still young. I'm not sure, but. If the NHL's Department of Player Safety's job is to keep the game safe and keep people from getting hurt, we obviously know about Bettman's thing about CTE. I'm not even going to get into that right now, but if that's their goal and that's their end goal, they're not doing a good job at all. It's really, really, really bad.
Moore was 25.
Okay, so I mean, like my book before, it doesn't matter how old you are, whatever. Yeah. Whatever the case may be, you have to send a proper message, and they're not doing that. Peros is not doing that whatsoever.
You know what it might be, and this is clearly, let's put on our tinfoil hats right now. All right, we got our tinfoil hats on, boys. Spiritually time. The theme of the Double Jeopardy theme that just starts playing. You know what I think it might be? I think it might be like, let's say Peros is wanting to set an example. I think it might be Bettman like, no, you can't set an example by suspending.
I don't think so, because
just listen, you can't suspend a star player, because you know what? If they wanted to send a message when someone who's a goon does that, someone who's not really going to the team, oh, whatever, suspend them. But if it's a star player, someone that people will pay to watch, like, oh, I'll go to a game for McDavid or Matthews or Draisaitl, if they are suspended for like 20 games, that's a loss of maybe some ticket sales, maybe some revenue. So I think
I get that point.
That
I get it.
Have something to do with it.
I get it, but it's nowadays you're seeing those stars getting more punishment than the goons. Actually, not goons, the enforcers, I should say.
Oh my god!
Careful, watch your language.
Goons. I need to watch out my words now, eh?
Holy.
He's never gonna respond to us.
We're not gonna say his name out loud, but yeah.
No, but you're not a goon to us.
We love you.
You're great.
Like, even if you were
love what you're doing.
This is so out of context.
Even if you were a goon, we still love you.
Love the work you're doing.
Yeah,
for sure.
You goon.
Hey, don't listen.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean that about does it. If there's anything else you guys want to touch on about player safety,
it's terrible. That's about it.
Yep. All right. That's it, I guess. So, thank you guys for watching this episode of the Tundra Cast, and we'll see you guys next time.